Like, hey, Satini, to cut you home. Yeah, Waach, to try yet a cut the Uchagoody. Yeah, knock to two dick how to talk. That's the way a dotty chickach to ne. Yeah, the late cock enough. Uh, they got a, well, something like that. They got a shot of medicine. However, you want to talk about the injecting part. Uh, the root here is sock, which really means to poke. Uh, well, I think I have sock to poke, to stick out, to extend, to launch. So some of us may have heard variations of this verb. It's a different verb, but it's the same verb root. Dak yai shatzak we de yak he he ha. The second part. Ayach kai shatzak we de yak he he ha. Sak. You can also say ke shatzak. Raise your hand. You could say dak shatzak. Dak shatzak. Or what do they say? Dak something. Hosaku. Hishkatin hosaku hokey pokey. Uh, but looking at this is a good
Akyai
example for
tlatsak.
us to sort of mess around with some of these verbs when we look them up. So if we look this one up, it's to inject O into N. Uh-oh, we gotta get the lights on.
We see you. Hi.
Okay, that's our timer for Gaidanak. Okay, so there's a couple of things to note here. So we have knock, and then we should recognize what we're going to change as far as who's getting the shot is the possessive pronoun. So then we should also be able to recognize, oh, ganishchish, dakyitsu. Ganishchish, tsak is a plural, one stick, tsu would be two sticks. So I could say, keijitsu, chudechi jin. Put both your hands up. I guess I'm a bank robber or something. Oh yeah, you can raise the roof. Okay. So as far as using this verb and starting to move it around, the object is what's being injected. And we're specifying it just here with knock, medicine. We do have to keep in mind that there's an object pronoun on here. So this is they, but what if I wanted to say, I got a shot of medicine? What do I need to change here?
Achtude.
Yeah, oh, wow. So this changes to ach, and then we're going to go through another change. We're going to say, they gave me a shot of medicine. There's different ways we mess with the English here. But now I'm going to move it out of the fourth person because I'm going to specify this doctor that I'm talking about. Because the fourth person was just saying it happened. I was given the shot. It doesn't matter who gave it to me. That's really what the fourth person does. It doesn't matter who it was. It's just the fact that it happened.
Cow toodlet sock.
So the duh must now convert. So if we go through and we just sort of put underneath here what's going on, we have an object, we have a perfective marker, we have the duh, and we have the gle, and we have the tzak. So in this classifier, this is D-L-I. So if I'm going to change this, I want to change the subject. So it's not just any person, it's not just someone, it is that doctor. Him. What does it sound like, a 2-minute timer now? What
So we
means
need the third person.
katushxeedi.
But this is going to trigger 2 other changes. I've changed d to they, the 0. Now 2 other changes must occur. I didn't get that. I don't know why. My computer was trying to understand. What do you?
Katushxeedi.
So the D will go away,
You need to add
and this will convert to a. So now we should have a cow llithaq. Nak achtude a cow llithaq. Okay. Let's take it one step farther.
I have a question.
Okay.
Can you or would you say knock achtude kanagu akautlitsak?
Yeah, I would probably say I would probably put the kunagu either in front of nak or after it, or after the whole verb phrase.
Because if you did it the way I asked, it would be redundant.
Well, it just kind of separates. My preference would be to keep these things together.
Gonna choose.
Yeah, achtude akautlet, because tlingit, it's like it keeps that pronoun pretty close to in the verb phrase. It doesn't usually like to put things in there, like to say, it'd be similar to saying like dutuwu we kanagusigu. It just interrupts the verb phrase. So then this whole thing is kind of the verb phrase to have achtude akautletzak.
If it was a verb without all the preverb, could you do it then?
Yeah, so like, well, if you took this out, if you did that, it sounds like he kind of poked you with a stick or something. It loses a lot of its sort of core meaning. But we could put the kanagu somewhere else outside of the verb. I would put it outside of the verb phrase because it's really specifying information. Like, and it depends. Like, so as in terms of word order, so we're going to get rid of this part down here for a second. We're going to add to this weqnagu, and we'll put weqnaguch nak achtude akauchetzak. So the doctor injected me with a shot of medicine. Now you could also, this is like one of those octopus tentacles. So it could go over here as well. So you could say nakachtude akauchetzak weqnaguch. The difference between these two phrases is pretty slight, but what's important here is I want you to know that a doctor did this. I didn't just go get this shot anywhere, conspiracy theorists. I went to the doctor. This one, it's more important that I got the shot. And then the doctor is sort of the secondary information. So Tlingit likes to put the most important information up front. There's no right or wrong about these two phrases. If you ask me, I just think there's 2 ways to say it. So what about you gave me a shot of medicine?
Nag 2-day kaishitzak.
Yeah, or when? So now this changes to I. Now this goes back to its natural state right? I think that's how I think kind of think of it these days. Like its natural state is nothing. It's just unmarked. But if you have nothing and nothing, then it has to trigger over to the And then this is katushxeedi. You gave me a shot of medicine. Now, I gave you a shot of medicine. And we're not condoning just randomly giving everybody shots. We're just doing a grammar exercise so we're clear.
Knock ach today I chwallitsak.
Well, the ach today.
Oh, that's right. I today.
There we go. Well, you can do
I
that one, yeah.
today chwallitsak.
Katushxeedi.
Katushxeedi.
Oh, cough.
Katushxeedi.
We still have to have the ka in there.
Yes.
Ah.
Knock. And so this one, we changed that. But then the way that these things interact is just a little bit different. Kaiche, kauche.
How about I gave you a shot of your own medicine?
I guess it now, I don't know if it has the same punch as but let's say some people who might need an insulin shot, sometimes self-administer. Ooh. You might only change one thing, but maybe two. That's one I'd probably want to run by a speaker. I would expect two, but I wouldn't be surprised if there's only one thing that changed.
Knock ach today katushxeedi.
Yeah, so this is interesting. I would probably, because the object refers to the medicine, I would probably say,
Tush. Okay.
and then go like that. Now, and then it signals that I did it to myself in the verb as well. But that's a prediction. I might be wrong on that one, but that'd be my guess. Okay, everybody's all shotted up now. Any questions about that? That was fun.
We don't have questions about that, but Nila Tola, do you want to share our question that we had from study group?
Yeah, it related also to the verb prefixes, and it was for the verb ka to be slow or lazy. And when we looked in the Eggleston database, the first two prefixes were and we weren't sure if was a thematic prefix or what that was, or what the heck the was.
Okay. Well, I'll look it up. Just kidding. So going to the ka verb, so we have lazy or slow. So there's a couple of interesting things, and so it doesn't really show you from the examples like what this is going to look like for starting to move it around to different people. Udzika is how you're most commonly going to hear this one. This is a thematic, which means it's not going away. It's built into the verb. Some of them, it makes sense when the A is built into the verb, which means it puts focus onto it just says, let's lock up the object and just focus on the action of the verb. And some of them, that A theme can actually become just a regular object. So I could say, achwatun, but then I could say, zisk chwatun, and that A falls off. It becomes an object. So some of them, they have variations, right? And so that it just locks up the sort of object spot to say, just focus on the action. And a whole bunch of body functions have the A on there. So peeing, pooping, farting, burping, they all have the A. Sneezing, they're all built onto there for some reason, but they're also built onto dancing, hunting, the sun to shine. So it's not always as clear to me why it's on there. So for some verbs, I just say, okay, I just got to remember it's there. It's got an A theme on there. The is the irialis. So it means there's some sort of logical conflict. Usually I just say think of it as not being that way, but it's a little bit more, there's shades of meaning in there that are also interesting because it's in there for comparative things, which is why you say yekuge or yekusigenk with a little W in between, because this will sometimes turn into a W. And then you get ka. So this is a S plus D plus S classifier. And so it was kind of fun because katushxeedi gave us a light scolding while teaching us this verb. So we were going over ways to answer yahaayí in a language workshop. And we just we went through all these different options, and I was like, well, how else could you be? Because we always just say yahaayí, or we say something kind of fast, but maybe once we get to know each other a little bit, we're using the language, we want to say something a little bit more. So we made these three categories: feeling good, feeling so-so, or being a smart aleck, or a non-answer, and then kind of not feeling great. And we got to the not feeling great category, and katushxeedi, he didn't want to do it. He says, you're going to say these things, they're going to happen. He was getting a little frustrated, which I understand. And I was trying to, I said, well, we're just trying to write them down so that people will know how to say them in case those things happen. And so I was trying to skirt the line between not crossing a cultural violation. So maybe that primed him for being a little upset with us. And so someone said, I was like, well, what else could we say? And we're on the negative category, not feeling so great. And someone said, chet with the chet. I was like, oh yeah, I'm tired. So I wrote it down. And then he said, why don't you say it like it really is? Uchtzaka. And so that's how you would say, I am lazy. And so we got our comeuppance. And I love katushxeedi. I love working with him. So but it does create a
So
slight
Yanaka, I am lazy.
ugh,
Hua,
It sounds like there's a two
ugh,
right in the front. Oh, so you would put the underline X right there.
ugh. Okay, katushxeedi.
So what you end up with something like this is, well, let's go to the prefixes. Oops. So in the verbal structure handbook, I was pulling out some of the verb prefixes. Let me try and make these bigger. Oh, that's the wrong one. Never mind. Hold on. I did it wrong. There it is. So I'm making some other tables up that maybe, I don't know if we can make this stuff easier, but it's always trying to. So if you have the perfective marker or the irialis, they should be acting about the same. However, you're getting some kind of hard to predict stuff in here. Because if you look up, you should be able to look down here and you can say, and that's what you should expect. But when you have A plus I think the A thematic one is a little bit different. It doesn't act the same as the other thematic prefixes. So this is one where we might have to add an A specific, the A theme one. But that might be the only one that has A thematic and irialis built in there. Because he said uchtzeka. And if he said it this way, I would expect it to be achtzeka. But that's not how he said it, and I would take his the way he said it, because he's so good.
Lagoon used to say "Uchzi." sika all the time. Eh? So, yeah. Well,
Yeah, and especially as some of the older people, when they get older, they feel that way because they used to be out there every day doing stuff and chopping wood and killing things and hunting and stuff. So, zika. And so that's one where we could probably run through um, with a speaker like Keishi and just say, "You are lazy, y'all." Once you get into that, I would I would expect it to be Aidzika, and then, but it might be Idzika. I mean, that's interesting. That's one to maybe try out. Aidzika, y'all are lazy. Uh, Autudzika, but it's just, a bit of predicting here. Autudze, Aidze, Aidze, Aududze. But here's one. So you see Udzi right there. So then this might be one that's not represented on the chart. Good questions. Okay.
can I just take you back to I gave myself a shot.
Yeah.
Why would you say chush up front instead of, I mean, the way I was thinking about it was not to de like with the chush kind of beside the verb there.
Yeah, and this is a fun part because we're kind of getting into this predicting mode where it's like, man, that's what I think, but we're gonna have to bring in a speaker and see, and they might just say ach. But in this, if you said shkauchlitzach, and we look up and we say for the subject to inject the object into n, now it sounds like I injected myself into myself, like that movie where
Oh,
he
I see. Okay.
tiny and injected himself into somebody. So
Okay.
that's why I don't think it would, because that sh before a verb is an object pronoun. The self is the object pronoun, but chush would be to my own self, and I guess my example for this would be chush tu idishi, which was that I go back to that, which one of my uncles taught me, which is uh, to put it politely, go touch yourself inside yourself. Um, and so there you have the chush tu, and then you have that pushes the verb to go plus D. So I think if you have a chush out here to my own whatever, and then that still pushes the verb plus D, because that's how you signal you're doing it to yourself.
Chush.
Ah. Okay. Any other questions?
Tsuyeyanaka, what your uncle would tell you? Chush I.
Chush chush tu idishi.
Okay, chush tu idashi.
I'll get myself in trouble. I'll just put it right on this slide.
That like help myself, help yourself. You need to help yourself.
It's touch yourself inside, touch inside your own self, which you can reinterpret as go something yourself.
Oh, so it wasn't very nice.
Yeah, I'll just fill in the blank.
I thought it was an encouragement.
But it was
Jeez.
funny. Okay, I'll tell you a little story behind this one, right? So I don't think I actually knew this phrase, but maybe I had heard it at this time. And we translated Macbeth into Tlingit, and he was the primary translator. And he liked to laugh a lot. If you knew him, he really liked to laugh. So much that he would tell you stuff, and he knew so much Tlingit. But sometimes I'd have to go to his sister Nora to be like, "Can I just run something by you, make sure I'm not saying something that, I'm getting a joke played on me a little bit." He would do that from time to time. But he was also incredibly amazing in terms of the Tlingit that he knew. So we had this play in Washington, D.C. Then we had this nice after party with some food, and the actors were there, and the funders, and the Alaska Heritage, and a lot of big money folks were there. And there's the translator. There he is, our elder. He was there to see the show, and so I went to go sit with him because I love to visit with him. And as soon as I walked over, he said, "Chush to idishi," and I listened. I was like, and then I just laughed, and then we just laughed, and then he said it to every person who came up to him. That was just how he greeted. So technically, it's a greeting based on what I was taught. Although, be careful, you will get in trouble in the wrong situations. But some of the actors would come up and he'd say it, and they'd say, "Oh, gosh, cheesh," and I'd be like, "Don't thank him, don't thank him." Or they'd say, "That's one of my lines in the play." I was like, "No, don't say that line on the stage." So, but that reveals some grammar that we can apply to other situations.
Was that play with Sit E.T. Shanach Shgun?
No, it was in
No?
Washington, D.C. So
Because I mean, I know they took their play. I thought it wasn't Macbeth.
it was
Excuse
with
me.
Perseverance Theater.
Cha'ade yuhatnai u.
Okay. Any other questions? So let's see. Maybe we'll stick with the grammar stuff for a little bit tonight. Anybody got anything to show us? Anybody do any extra illustrated stories that you want to show us? Uchta, Kashuk, Yeke. Okay. Fire away. Kachtin, Wetuga.
So I didn't get a chance to really check it, but let me pull it up.
Ah.
Alkaway the cut klinget ausitin kudziti at ushtin has kudeu naux atiku tsu awaha yewa klinget ha ushtanich aga away awaha kudziti at playdu etsu Kustini kanak nauksati auk. And I didn't get it. But I can translate that.
Goodness, cheesh.
Here's the other. I don't know where I was with it.
Ah, okay.
/ stick figure.
Also a stick figure. But yeah, I was trying to say the Nauksati made us stink, so the Kudzati helped us by eating the witch.
Ah.
But I didn't get that far to finish it, so.
Yuck, hey. Goodness, cheesh. Coming along. Naktsati awuhi. Chakoe naktsati hawuhi. Or hawuhihun. It's he is putting the bad mojo on people. So,
This part, where?
ah.
Oh, right here.
Yeah, the awahia. might put it if you go back up a little bit. That first time it's there.
Oh,
It's a T. So I'll put it in the chat. Habuhi.
oh, how, okay.
And a habuhi would be they put the bad magic on us. I might just put, I'll probably just say wuhi, maybe.
Or just hawuhi
Mm-hmm.
without the X or the W.
Yeah, the W. And then change the WU to a WOO. Wuhi. Oh, no, at the beginning, sorry.
Oh, oh.
Wu, wuhi. Habuhi. There you go. Okay.
Right. Sheesh. Yeah, I wanted to add more to the plan to kill the witch, and then he ate. That's the hard part of ripping the head off, so he could eat it, but
Oh,
couldn't figure out how to say that. So. That was the let's see the other. Why he's and then it was a Nauxati that shape shifted. I couldn't find shapeshifter anywhere. But I
oh,
think on old katushxeedi that I've heard is like something puts on the skin of something else and it becomes that like a marmot, the man who becomes a marmot, or but he put on a marmot skin and he became a marmot. That's kind of where my thinking was here, where the Nauxati becomes a now.
I gotta finish this little, well, it started as a children's book, but I don't think it really is anymore. But I did this book with quite a few folks. It was a collaboration. But if we go down to the English section towards the end of this, well, it's called Hoots Yahaayí Shark, but I think it should be Hoots Ayaku Kuwut Kuwut Shawat, I think it's called. And right here, Hoots Yach out to eat. That's the one I got from Kahuan Ish. And I didn't, it's not written down anywhere else as far as I know of. I never heard anybody else say it. That she turned herself into a bear. But he would say stuff like this, like, oh, and when people do something like this, when they end up marrying an animal because an animal comes and takes them and makes them into an animal, there's a whole verb for that. When an animal repeatedly tries to pull somebody underwater because it's trying to get them, there's a verb specifically for that. And so here I would imagine you would have en yach eat. For someone, for S to turn themselves into N. I would predict that that's an athematic verb. And then so you'd have, so for example, I turned myself into an eagle. Ak yach to eat. That's what I would predict. But again, like he was giving me so much stuff, I didn't have time to ask him like all these questions that I would think of. But so here you could probably say yach to eat, and then change this into, I would imagine, whatever animal they're changing themselves into.
Could see. I've wondered about that. Like, there's so many, not so many, but there's a lot of like us, where there's a huge like a katushxeedi or a kustin, and on top of them there's another head, always almost. One in Pakwan Kachkanauk, two different ones by two different artists, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And I wondered what it meant.
Maybe the transformation verb. There is another one. I'll show you folks. If I don't know where the Raven book is at these days. It probably needs a lot of work as well. But I'm going to find, I think maybe it's Frank Italio. Hold on, let me take a look. No, I think it's Susie James. Oh, yeah, I'll show you guys here something to look at. But just getting into these verbs. So here's the yeshqa from Susie James. Pretty fun stuff. Like Raven says to them, send me something to eat. That's a phrase that I was told you also say when you see the killer whales in the water, and you want to give them some tobacco. But the one I was looking for, they were fishing for these little pieces of driftwood, which is really interesting. So then he goes to the Nashak and Kawuhiti, and let's see here. He fit himself into the spruce needle. So that was another one that I really thought was important. And so this is a hortative verb, like he says, it would be good if I could. But really he's saying like, let me fit myself into that spruce needle. So tuch, so something tuch, and then you have, so looking at this, it's a qah conjugation, right? And that's important for some of the other stuff, but you could say, I would predict shkuchla'u or shkuchleu. Sorry, it should be DL. And that would be to fit yourself into something. And that could be putting yourself into a hide or something like that. But again, we might have to ask some speakers about it. Ah. Okay. And we have others? Other stories? Shkashnik. Ah, Yeshtuchkla. Ah,
Kegasnika yebuti gos dech sandi ak duhihi. Tliatke de slink yehatuti. Ahuni yist ketliadi hoslatin. Thank you, do sock. Kin George one kedlich city like a kenach English bulldog. Usk we tank. Usk chatlak. Yash hadi ketliadi kudziden kle us nooch. Du twasigu kat at buga kiti. Achis tichli. We shik. We zisk shady. We kayakajade. Ach kena adi. We wudashani kate guk. Kat at wuta. De hoa ya uwa hugu duk tzak yan khosati awe dujias blik kenach rawhide bone klach yanach kuge we tzak tlitleyi atsu chayuk tankch we tzak akat shwudligas gwallnesk second shuhihi tank sak akawanut we sak hoot away te adlo ya tat yin tles ade na kwa ta ye clank clach koga speak ki tank koganagi tank khwajaki how asayek tank to a klicht Cajun the hin away the squatch hot the cut ye Tudech tank kachat away hot to wusigu gonna cheese the key on cow way igush kwan tank we ha han akawanika we you tangi igush kwan cha ayach like enach thumbs up.
Okay, goodness cheese. Ke guch le shoe. Ke guch le tsu. Ke gush le tsu. I don't know if you could do it, gush, but I think so. I think you could also chus le tzak, gush le tzak, but might be pushing it. Seems to fit. Konachuk esh kalneek goodness cheese. Tank tlach le tzin. Ik kashuk kawadai What's again?
Goodness, geez. Screen share. Askatu chachat chwasatin. Iatinge. Chune chawulge. Chachatge. Dak
Chawush.
chawul. Goodness, geez. Chawul. Sekatang chwacha. Goodness, geez. Sekatang. Adlein sagt klegu yati. Chune sagt klegu ge klegu. Goodness, geez. Do so way to asagu sagt klegu. Kawe klekatank.
Let's just click a tongue. Oh.
Seek to asagu we klegu. Uch goodness, geez.
Yakecha. Kushkiwe ketk you do a sock. One qanins qasha ki we shaki dugu. Qunachwe uahug. We akaye wuti. We shausa awe kudzati qasha qaqa khiksha. Ket qatua ashku has to khiksha ye wuti we ketk. One qanins qunachwe qat. Shaki dug adachye wune. Acht kleku ko a nak. Gwalli tuasagu is shachaw. Is shaki ya. Ia us. Shake the us aya on. Aka gwalkaka kwati. Gwalki wik ketk. Katchatse wakakya ida. Uksa. Oh, cage. Yeah, oh, wait, shakage. You actually get a question. Thumb. Stikati de kachlich ech. Yeah, do cage. A katchatse or kakwasatu sago at Gwashikaye yeti. Acht kleku. Nak atuye yeti. E awacha ach. Keshtuchai atqa haji yes. Ig one qanins. Chadasa atwasagu chai. Yake gan chish. Kanachoi wukeish kalneeki. Kadena e kaishahit. Well, tu hatuasagu. Naskiagi achtuasagu chwasatini. Quash atlain ayagachtu layich. Wuchin. Yeo achtuasagu. Kadawusake kudzati dat. So if you folks have any others to share on Wednesday, we'll keep it going. I think it's really fun. Juan Shane.
I have one, but I didn't check it with my elder, but do I share it?
You could do it now or Wednesday, up to you.
Mike, I'm gonna get rid of it, okay?
Ah,
Okay, it's not very long and it's in here and I wasn't really sure how to put it out, but I'll show it to you one at a time, okay? Bear with me. First one is this one. Okay. Maybe it's too big. I don't know. It's pretty big. All right, can you see it?
ah.
Ach yit katliak kachat nasgadushu kai ikde na gwal kahint wutu. Sunny and I went down there to go wade in the water at 8 Mile Beach. You see his walker? This is some terrible scribbling, but that's the way it goes.
Yak ewe.
Dech. Oh, I'm going through it fast. What did you say?
Oh, okay.
Okay. Dech. Yahaayí awe. Ach. Ach yit tlayech. Ach tu yada we walker. Entrance song wutua she. Kahint wutua art. Yak chat. Nai we gao. Ach yit katliak. We do wutua wutu toothly on ach sunny. We suspenders and boots and a walker. Nask. Chayuk der kit ade hast wudua hak yacht. Yeah, kit der. Yeah, what?
Yeah, what?
I didn't put it on a slideshow like Kushuk, Kashuk. Akon. Dek yata dek kit yatek wakach. Klau katliak. Nachtu at. Ayadihan kochte. Gana. Atskani we kit. I threw my drumstick in my gal. Katliak was running like crazy. Too. Cajun. Yahaayí awe. Kuchte kuchatis. I don't know how to say that. Dech kik dak de elephant's nose. Hooch.
Uh-oh.
And there they are. They're headed out towards the nose. And it's a kind of a big picture, huh? Yeah, well. Hooch, gonna cheese.
Okay, ha. Geez.
We scribble on shapes.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Geez. Nächste shi. You do a song, entrance song. And I looked back, kuchte auch tlaqeen. Kuchte tees would be, I was really staring back at that place I came from. But auch tlaqeen would be like to toss a glance.
So Yanaka, a glance back. Kuchte.
Kuchte auch tlaqeen. Yeah. Oh wait.
Tlaqen. Kuchte tlaqen.
I think it should be kuch auch tlaqeen. Sorry. Underline on the G. Auch tlaqeen. High tone on the E.
Cheers. I did glance back.
It would be kuchte in the future. Kuchte auch tlaqeen. I'll look back. Okay. That's gani.
Go on, Shane. Yeet to Iga, we Pete, your son's spirit helper. Your son's spirit helper, killer whale.
It seems to be the killer whales really love us and they're always here. All my best friends are killer whales. They're all really good helpers.
Because that stuff doesn't just happen. How many times have you guys been up close to killer whales on the beach?
I'll tell you one thing, holy crap, they were right there.
Is it Kane, spirit helper, Iga?
It might be, it could be yake. I was wondering about the walker too, like yakanajuhu wutsaqa might work. I have to check the yak. Oh, it should be yakanajuhu. Would be like a rolling cane. Yakanajuh. I have to look up. Oh, I guess another. Maybe this one.
Rasa do sak cane.
Wutsaqa.
Wutsaqa.
Wutsaqa. So kajuhu wutsaqa would be a rolling cane. Raise your hand up.
Yeah, is it required to have the language on the pictures or can you just read it?
However you want.
Okay.
My goal is just to mix two things so that we're
okay.
Something else to focus on.
Well, I can read it now or you can wait for the soundtrack on Wednesday, which
Up to you.
Okay, I'll just read it. Get her done. All right, so let me share this. I had some nice Zapp and Roger on the soundtrack too, darn it.
Oh.
All right, here we go.
We'll download it on iTunes later.
All right. So mine's not all my personal art, but I just had to because it amused myself. I don't know. Okay, so Okay. Clock on Klihash. Chich Tashuka Ade Kikagu Yesu Ituwasa Guge. Aha. At Ishak Ich. Yata. Yata. Click. Atwa Geki. Klianach Ah. Dasa. 75 miles per hour. Klausha. De Ade Kikuku. Clock day. Uguaya Kwan. Virginia. How did you share? Google Talk. Ikajuka e kinkaat. He. Kwas yituhuk Yesu. Het kwas och jiwo. Ooch.
I think we need to see this again with the music.
Oh, I can.
Goodness cheese.
Goodness, geez, what's there?
Kachanachuk e Johan. Sheesh. Kanachoyat yijak ishkasnigitin. Nek echawe, okay, shtuka chatati the ag ni sheesh. Okay. So we'll have some more on Wednesday. I think these are just amazing. So I think what I'd like to do for Wednesday is probably see if folks have another story, and then we'll watch a short video. I found some videos that I recorded with Katushxeedi that I haven't looked at in years. We made quite a few videos up until he got sick, and so a few of them I haven't even looked at. It's kind of taken some time to sort of be able to comb through some of that stuff. But he did a few where he was just sort of going through stuff that he was wondering if we hadn't heard it yet before. So it was really fun stuff. So we'll probably look at that. Then your weekend lesson is probably going to be a little less fun, but I'll just prep you now. I would like you to say something about boarding schools. We're going to have a ceremony on Thursday for people who are survivors of boarding schools, for people who've been impacted by boarding schools. And then we're going to walk into a place where Shakshani was physically abused, where Katushxeedi was physically abused, and we're going to have a healing ceremony. So I thought it'd be good to use our language to talk about some stuff, and it's not going to be easy, so it'll be a far departure from illustrated stories, which also aren't always easy, but just as far as the topical stuff. And I know some of the stuff is also difficult at times because we think about folks that aren't here anymore and stuff, but just to think about the impact statements you might make. I'll just leave it fairly open. That way you can take whatever approach you feel like. But that's what we'll be sharing next week, is just sort of talking about some of that. I do think there's a lot of healing qualities in Tlingit, and it's a good thing to sort of address some of these issues. But I do understand that these are difficult topics as well, so please practice self-care, and I'll also be sharing resources next week in regards to recovery and also reclamation. Pulling the language back to daily use. It's like Raven pulling that house in. It's just so difficult, and I really appreciate you all being part of that process. Kecha.
Boarding school. SJSK, boarding school Yewati. Was Sheldon Jackson a boarding school, or was that a school for adults? And is a boarding school, by definition, when you take little kids away from their family and people and train them to be white people?
Yeah, I am using it primarily to refer to, it was probably all schools that were doing horrible, abusive things to needy children. The focus on boarding schools is like when they would take children and relocate them to those places. Sheldon Jackson was one of those places. My nanny went there and she couldn't speak Haida afterwards. Kashkawu, Cyril George, he went there. And Kaseach was there at the same time with her brother, Selena Everson. And she said Cyril and her brother would sometimes laugh because they said, you won't speak your language on these grounds. So they would jump up in the air and speak Tlingit and kind of laugh. But then she also said Cyril would still cry when he talked about it. He was in his 90s, you know. So yeah, it was a spot, and some of the things that people did varied in terms of the techniques they used. Sometimes it was shame. Marge, she used to call it torture. So yeah, it's pretty rough stuff. But yeah, it doesn't have to be just a boarding school. It could also be school experiences that were attempting to extinguish the Tlingit language. So Wednesday, bring any questions you might have, and yeah, we'll just start it on next Monday.
I had a question about one of the resources. I couldn't find it on thinkitlanguage.com. You used to have a link to your Google Drive with all the curriculum and stories and stuff, and I haven't been able to find it. And if you don't want to share it anymore, that's okay. But I was thinking of a homework that you had on verbs that had some practice phrases and things like that. So, katushxeedi.
Well, if you go to this curriculum tab, the Google folder is right there. So yeah, I don't have any problem sharing that. Yeah, so let me know, and then I'll try and think of what that could specifically be. We're gonna go through some hardcore conjugations in the next couple of weeks as well. So
We were thinking about
it's like a
verb, like
worksheet.
you had some verb worksheets, like
Mhm.
like homework worksheets, just
Mhm.
so we could practice.
Okay, well, I'll put one up. It's called Conjugation Party, and I'll put that one up probably tonight then.
Katushxeedi.
We're gonna crank it out after we're done with the verb monsters. Mini monsters, cute little pinchy monsters.
Sleich monsters. Verb honey.
Verb cuddle bears. What were those things that people used to drive a truck through a store for? Those little stuffed animals, what were they called?
Beanie babies.
Yeah, verby beanie babies. There we go.
No.
I have to change the whole front page of the thing. Okay. So for the last 15 minutes here, how does a thematic prefix change a verb? It changes the meaning. That's usually what it does, is it adds a noun to change that meaning. So the first one we could look at is kh. Kh just says we're talking about some given space. It's either going to be the weather or just some area. For example, if you can say yuck-a, it's good, or they are good. Kuwak-a, it's good weather. Yeyati, to be. Kudzati, to exist. Ahuha, disappeared. Atkuwaha, it's time for it. A lot of those seasonal things have the k built in there as well. Yachkuha would be seasons. like fall, winter, spring. They're all collectively called yahaayí, like it keeps happening.
I don't see a ku in yahaayí and ahuha.
Well, this is saying like here's a verb without it, here's a verb with it.
Oh,
Without it. It's saying the same verb root, same verb root.
sorry.
It's okay. And over here, same thing. So without it and with it, with the ka. This first ka is to be compared to something. Yagay, it is big, it is many. They are many, yes. Ye kuge, it's this big. Ye kuge away. Wait, whatever. It's got to be a non-living thing in this case. Sikak, it is thick, like a board. Yik sikak, the board is this thick. I need boards that are this thick for the porch or whatever. Nashe, it is far. Ye kud nashe, it is this far. So it just means you're comparing it. They're this tall by now, or they're just tall. Shage, shage. Here's a whole set of other thematic prefixes. So you have j, the hand or possession, tu, inside, sa or se, the voice. Oh, I guess we'll do the examples. So j, like in ye jene, they are working. Tu, as in you to a tunk, they are thinking. Sa or se, the voice or the neck. For whoever's doing the decapitating, look under the cut verb, and I think you'll find cut the head off. And it has a sa built on it. We'll go look for it.
Ripping the head off, wouldn't it?
Yeah, so I guess you could say, ach, it's et. I don't know if you would put a neck on there. Oh, you know where it'd be? The Nyman story.
One of the Giants has it.
What's that?
The one with the Giants.
Yeah, hold on.
Or the one David Catsey about the seal saw,
Ripped the head off, didn't he?
or maybe he ripped it in half.
He tore it in half.
Yeah.
Yeah, hold on. We're gonna get to the bottom of this ripping the head off thing.
To the bottom of his head.
I found it in Elizabeth Nyman's book.
Sheesh.
That's page 2. Tle kunach tle ya yahaayí tle yach tle yahaayí Then he broke his head off right here. He decapitated him.
Ah. Where did it go?
On page 2.
Here it is. We've got some retypes, which I could post these as well if you folks are interested in them. So it was decapitate, right? Oops. Okay.
It was lines 30 and 31.
Open sheesh. Oh, there we go. Yeah, so see, that one has the neck built onto it. So, kach asewachli. So in this case, you have ka dach. It's an interesting one. Ka dach and adach can become ach, kach. They kind of break the rules of vowels, and so kach is off of the top of it. There's the third person object pronoun, which in this case would be the head. Sa is on there because it's the neck, the base of the neck. Again, back to weird, wild stuff. You got, like right here, you've got sa, sha, ya, sha. All of the classifiers are right there. I don't know if there's a connection. That's Chashi who first realized that there was that connection. So in all the sort of, the only one that gets kind of wild is the ya, because it's usually a 0 in its natural state. So break the neck off of it. That's what you get for decapitated. I believe the other one was cutting the heads off of chickens. So. Okay, back to our little tickle monsters. Sorry for the decapitation sidetrack. In case you ever need to say that. But in this case, asewa ach, to hear a voice. Washash, the point of it is worn down like a pencil. Da, ye adaya, talking, telling a certain thing. Ka or keh or ka, yu tunk, they are speaking. The ka has some other special things that have to do with pretending. Like shkautlayech. I think the literal interpretation of shkautlayech is pretending to raven. Shah is the head or the top of something. A shawachich, clubbed him on the head. Sh, the end of something. Shuwahih, ran out, died off. The A is thematic. A thematic. It usually says focus on the action. Don't worry about the object. It doesn't work for every verb. There's a few of them that just, they have an athematic thing that you could put on them. They are dancing. One more set of them. Ka for round. Ka for horizontal. I think it can only be one or the other. You can't have both of them. And you can only tell by context which one it is. Like today, I said to my kids, Ikucheta chwate, ichteketi eight. But then I realized I didn't quite say that right. Ikucheta chwate, ichteketi eight. What I should have said is Ikucheta kachwate, ichteketi eight. I found your basketball behind the garbage can. But because it's round, I should have put the kachwate. I found a round thing. Kachwatao, wekucheta. I stole the basketball. So some of the things take a round, like it matters if it's round. Achjit kate, hand me the apple. Ke awakich, they are throwing the object like a rock. Ke akawakich, they are throwing it like a basketball, a round object. The surface, that one pops up on a lot. Ka and ya might just be the most common ones. Think of ka like that, ya like this. They can mean, I think they mean surface and face, is how I've been sort of coding them lately. So awachash, they sawed it or they cut it. A kawachash, they cut it up into pieces. Tusha'an, they're kind, nice inside. Yaksa'an, nice on the face. Those are the thematic, and so you got like a series of them, and these are probably the most common ones. Everybody okay? Subjects. So you could have chush. Usually the chush would come before something like chush tu, chush ka, chush. Usually there's something. There's some kind of postposition that comes after it. Whoosh would be to each other, and then hus would pluralize the third person subject. For these subjects, we have cha, tu, I, ye, always unmarked. Third person is always nothing. And then du for someone. So to run through our examples. Oops. So here's our verb. We're going to change the subject to help us practice. Object is going to be 0, except in one case, the subject, and then sikhan. There is going to be some contraction in here, and we'll see how it works. So, them is singular in this case. I love them. Who wants to tell me how to say?
خاصهان
Chasechan, Ganashish. We love them.
Tosichan.
Tisechan. You love them. Isechan. Y'all love them.
Yisachan.
Yisechan. Yisechan. Stay short. Okay.
Yisachan.
Ganashish. They love them.
Tachan.
So that this is going to trigger that third person though to switch.
Oxyhan.
Asechan, right? It's just that third. It's wild because he's got to remember it's there, and then on that third person it pops up. They are loved.
Aduskhan.
Well, we're going to have duh, but then the duh has to trigger the plus D in the classifier.
Adudzachan.
Dudzechan. But then there's no because that doesn't require it for duh. Okay. They all love them all, or they love them all. They all love them.
Has asachan.
Yeah, aware. So with this one, as we see, is a really good verb to practice on because we just see cha, tu, I, ye, a, du, dudze, right? And then has, asich. There are a couple ones to keep an eye on. Yisachan would be you love them. Yisachan would be they love you all. So it just, or Yisachan would be you all love them. Yisachan, they all love you. So just that vowel lengthening changes it to an object pronoun. Isachan, this could be you love them or they love you. You cannot, through the grammar, distinguish the two. You can do it with extra stuff outside. Wa'ech, isachan. Huj, isachan. Any questions?
Yana 8 has a great Quizlet with Isachan, 92 terms.
Oh, yak
It's all copied from Hausanech. Ganashish.
Okay. So let's do one more. Squeeze one more in here with a perfective marker. So here we're going to have object, yu, subject, yahash. So it is going to trigger that classifier to switch to plus I. We're just going to practice seeing what these things look like. And just remember, the will pop up here and here. I cut it.
Wachash.
And this will show you too. It's na. So in the perfective, it's going to be long and low. We're going to look at that next. But these will all be long and low. We cut it. Starts with w. You cut it.
Ichohash.
Start, I should expect ye or yikash. You all cut it.
Ichosh.
That should be ye. Sorry.
Yeast.
Sorry about that. For the second person with the perfective, it should be ye, unless it's a zero conjugation right here. Then I would expect it to be iya. You all cut it.
With you, well, I would expect that to be yishash.
Ye. Yeehaw.
Yeehash.
So this second
Yee.
Y is a little bit tricky. For a lot of Spanish classes, this would be like that. Yinghash. But
Oh,
for here,
ying.
yeehash, yeehash, yeehash. It's very
Ying.
slight, very subtle, the difference between those two.
Yeehash. Yeehash.
That second Y is arealis.
Well, what these are, so this you've got, let's see, you've got 0,
It's the perfective marker, huh?
effective marker. Then
Yeah.
you have and ya. So that's what the prefix is. And for this one, you have 0, oops, y, yeah. So it's really I plus ya and y plus ya with that perfective marker in front of it. And so the object doesn't affect it because there's nothing there. So y, I, ya is ye, y, ya is ye. So just getting that little bit of a thing there. Yeehash, yeehash, yeehash. They cut it.
Yahash.
I would expect awa. Because the
Awa.
must be there.
The A.
Yes. Awahash.
Awahash.
It was cut. Oops. So would do, yes. But what I would expect for a 0 group classifier is if it would look just like this one, but we change to do. Would do-wahash. So we can't jump the classifier group. So this is 0, so it must be ya. Even with do, the fourth person pronoun does not affect the 0 classifier at all. And they all cut. Hasawahash. Ye away. Gonna cheese you, hon. And we will look at putting together perfectives. We'll look at all the different prefixes that could be there. We'll give you cheat sheets. We'll give you practice sheets. The next one after this is going to be a future, just so we can start saying, well, what happens when we do this? And if we haven't predicted these ones before, it's totally fine, because we're just focusing on the subjects here. But then we're going to take a look at the perfective, look at the future. Then we're almost done with this one. And then we can retire it. No more cuddly bear monster things. But then we start moving into just change a whole bunch of the pronouns, the subjects and the objects. Then we'll look at how to master building a perfective verb, building a future verb, and then we'll start messing around with the other ones. Gonna cheese, Shuhan. Yekawe yejene. Yebushkastin. Naskiki.
Goodness cheese.
Zinquat yishtin.
Ekwati. Ganas cheese.